Hello, and welcome to Homeowner AF, the Canadian first-time homebuying podcast. I'm Brianna Goslin, mortgage agent level 2, and I work with Canadian first-time homebuyers every single day. If you want to own real estate in Canada but aren't sure how to position yourself to get there, this is the podcast for you. I want to see more young Canadians in the market, building equity and long-term wealth. That starts with getting the right advice at the right time, so you're positioned to act when it matters. Each week, I'll bring you bite-sized episodes that actually move the needle toward homeownership. Short, strategic, and packed with practical tips that you can use right away. I'll cover topics like minimum down payment, closing costs, credit, co-signers, and more. Remember, your finances are like a thumbprint. No two are the same. For advice tailored specifically to you, book your free call at briecallme.com. Now, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Homeowner AF, the Canadian first-time homebuying podcast. Today, I'm clearing up one of the most common misconceptions in Canadian real estate, and that's the adage that you need to put down 20% for your first home, or that you should put down 20% as down payment for your first home. Now, before I get started, let me be very clear. 20% down isn't wrong, it's not bad, and it could be a great option for you. But the advice that putting down at least 20% as a down payment on your home is simply how it's done is unnecessarily vague, especially for first-time buyers. And usually, this advice is coming from someone of a certain age who purchased their home in the 80s or 90s. And don't shoot the messenger, but they may also have some outdated views and live perhaps in a different reality than us millennials and Gen Z buyers, who are the first-time home buyers of today, are living in. Most especially for buyers who need to live in city centers like Vancouver or Toronto, where prices are much higher, saving 20% could take years or decades. And during these years, you're living, you're renting, but you're missing out on that sweet, sweet equity that everybody talks about. And we'll talk more about that a little later on. But I think it's helpful to replace the feelings and opinions with facts. So here's facts. Minimum down payment in Canada, the calculations are made on the purchase price of the home. So not the list price, but the price that you have offered to pay and that the seller has accepted. For down payment, you'll be required to put down at least 5%. So if you are purchasing a home that is $500,000 or less, you'll have to put down 5% on that home. Now, if you're purchasing above $500,000, you are going to also have to put down 10% on any amount above $500,000. Now, this is the rule all the way up to $1.5 million. In real numbers, this is what the minimum down payments look like at certain benchmarks. So for $500K, you're going to have to put down $25,000 at least. For a $750,000 purchase, you're going to have to put down $50,000. If you're purchasing at $1 million, you're going to have to put down at least $75,000. And then if you're way at the top end of the scale for insured mortgages at $1.5 million, you're going to have to put down at least $125,000. Now, we're talking about minimum down payment, and I know these numbers are still considered very large. And don't worry, I'll be dropping episodes on how to make saving easier, so stay tuned for those. But you're probably wondering now why your Uncle Bob the Boomer is always ranting at the family barbecue. And this character usually says things like, minimum down payment mortgages are evil and they're going to bankrupt young people. And let me preface this with, yes, all mortgages are loans. And when you take out a loan, there is a risk. But we can mitigate that risk by planning your purchase thoughtfully and budgeting. And this is literally what I do with first-time homebuyers every single day. And if you're listening to this podcast, your head is already in the right place because you're seeking out home buying information. So you're doing everything right now. Don't let Uncle Bob get to you. But again, let's replace these feelings with facts. The facts are A minimum down payment that is less than 20% of the purchase price will qualify you for an insured mortgage. You may have heard of CMHC or Sagen and Canada Guaranty. These are the three default insurers in Canada. So these are the insurers who will come onto the mortgage deal and provide mortgage insurance to the lender. Now, these insured mortgages are also called high ratio mortgages. And high ratio simply refers to the fact that you're borrowing more than 80% of your home's value. And it could be as high as 95% if you're putting down that minimum 5% down payment. Now, because that's considered a higher risk to the lender, this insurance protects your mortgage lender, not you. So it's not to be confused with life and disability insurance or home insurance. This insurance is actually what allows you to buy with less than 20% in the first place, because without it, the lenders would simply not approve these loans. Now, that's what it is. Now, what's it going to cost you? The insurance premium is calculated as a percentage of your mortgage amount, and the smaller your down payment, the higher your mortgage insurance premium is going to be. Your amortization will also affect how much you're going to pay for that premium. If it's stretched out to 30 years, if your loan is 30 years long versus 25 years, it will cost you slightly more. So let's say you are purchasing a home at $500,000. You're putting down that minimum down payment of $25,000, and you chose a 30-year amortization. Your mortgage insurance premium is going to cost you roughly $20,000. It may seem like a drop in the bucket compared to the $500,000 purchase price, or it may seem like a lot of money. It's all up to interpretation as you, the home buyer, and that's going to help you decide whether it's the right mortgage for you. Now, you do not pay this upfront at closing. This amount does not come out of pocket. It's actually added to your mortgage and then paid down over time. So let's talk about the trade-offs for these insured mortgages. What's the upside? Well, an insured mortgage qualifies you for slightly better interest rates, whether it be a variable or a fixed interest rate, because the lender likes these kinds of mortgage. They are protected by the insurer. What's the downside? Well, of course, it's a large chunk of change that you're going to be paying out for that insurance. But here's where the nuance matters that I think when folks are talking about insured mortgages, they miss, especially those who have been homeowners for a very long time. What is your goal? If home ownership is the goal, what is the cost of waiting? Because while you're waiting to save that 20%, things can happen. Well, things will happen. So statistically, home prices will rise. Rent is going to rise. So your cost of living is going to rise as well. And in effect, that down payment target will get further and further away. As well, when you're saving, you're not building equity, which is the real power of home ownership. But when you buy with even 5% down, you begin paying down that loan immediately. You start building equity, and you're participating in the market. So I'm not saying that everybody should rush out and buy with 5% down. And I'm definitely not anti 20% down payment. If 20% is doable for you and it aligns with your goals and your timeline, amazing. Absolutely do it. But the decision shouldn't be based solely on avoiding insured mortgages and in avoiding that insurance premium. Your best purchase is going to be based on actual math and strategy. So yeah, mortgage insurance is not good or bad. It's just a tool. And it's a tool that's actually necessary for a lot of first-time home buyers to get into the market earlier instead of waiting for a number that feels safer, but is actually unattainable to save for. Is a premium annoying? Yes. But the real question is, does buying sooner move you closer to your long-term goals? Here's one important piece that if you haven't heard any of what I said throughout this podcast, listen to this part. Your 5% down payment is not actually the only money that you're going to need to have saved to buy a home in Canada. You're going to have to save above and beyond your down payment to close on your home. In Ontario specifically, closing costs will range from 1.5% to 5% of your purchase price for most first-time home buyers. You'll need to cover things like legal fees, adjustment, land transfer tax if applicable. And on top of that, you should also have a healthy emergency fund that you can dip into. So, of course, I'll be releasing episodes about both of those topics, so stay tuned. But for now, if there are specific numbers you'd like run or specific questions you have about your first home purchase, go ahead and book a free call at briecallme.com. See you next time. Thanks for listening to Homeowner AF, the Canadian first-time home buying podcast. You'll find links to everything I mentioned in today's episode in the show notes, along with details on how to connect with me. I welcome all of your first-time home buying questions. Send me a voice note to have your question featured on air. And if you're ready to talk through specifics for your first home purchase, you can book a free call at briecallme.com. Remember, if home ownership is your goal, you could be closer than you think. You just need the right information to make the right move. I'll be back next week with another tidbit to help you get there.